The month of Ramadan is the month that you and I can finally get ahead. The month of Ramadan, my brothers, if you deal with the month of Ramadan correctly, if you give the month of Ramadan its haqq and its rights, wallahi, my brothers, you will go from zero to hero in the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is the month of the believers. It's the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala where you can reach Him. You see, my brothers, every single act of ibadah, every single act of worship, we know its reward. Or at least we have an idea of its reward. Everything we've been told, that if you give charity, Allah will do this. If you pray, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you this. If you look after your mother and your father, well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will compensate you. Every act of worship we've been told about, except for the act of fasting. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, fasting is for me, and I shall reward him. I shall reward it accordingly. For the one that fasts, there are two celebrations. The celebration of when he breaks his fast, when he sits down with his family and he breaks his fast, that's the first celebration. The next, the Prophet of Allah says, the next celebration is when you stand in front of Allah and you see the reward of that day that you fasted. Such is the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan is the greatest month of the year. The month of Ramadan is the month that every single one of us should be waiting for anxiously. Because the truth is, many of us will not make the month of Ramadan. You know, I've given the talks of Ramadan many times. Sometimes it's 2 weeks before, sometimes it's a couple of days before. I remember a few years back home in Sydney, we had a brother with his cousin and a girl in the back. They had a car accident the night before Ramadan and they all died. So the reality is you and I haven't been promised anything. But the question is how are we going to deal with the month of Ramadan? Is the month of Ramadan going to be like every other month for you and I? Are we going to deal with this great month like how everyone else deals with this great month? You see, my brothers, the reality is the month of Ramadan is the month of fasting. It's the month of Quran. It's the month of Salah. It's the month of Tahajjud. It's the month of Taraweeh. It's the month of charity. It's the month of piety. It's the month of i'tikaf, seclusion. The month of Ramadan is the month that every single one of us is supposed to say goodbye to the world and connect himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The month of Ramadan is the month where every one of us is supposed to put his head down and work and work and work and work and work, and he doesn't raise his head until the day of Eid. But unfortunately today it's the exact opposite. Today the month of Ramadan has become a festive month. It's a month of celebration. It's a month of nightlife. It's a month of hanging out. It's a month of chilling out with the boys. The month of fasting has become the month of food. The month of Tahajjud has become the month of hanging out. The month of the Quran has become the month of gossip. Did you see? Did you hear? Did you go? Did you come? Tell me what's happening. Tell me what's on the ground. And Muslims, religious Muslims now, we wait for the month of Ramadan. Brother, I love the month of Ramadan. MashaAllah, why do you love it? There's just this buzz in the air. And Allahu Akbar. And what do you do with this buzz? I do anything and everything except which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do. You see, my brothers, one of the names of the day of resurrection is the day of regret. One of the names of the day of resurrection is the day of regret. Why? Because on that day when you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you realize the opportunities that Allah gave, the chances that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, the amount of time that we wasted, the amount of bounties and blessings that Allah gave me and I rejected, you will see the weight of all of this when you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, now, when you and I think of last Ramadan, the Ramadan that, yeah, it came and I didn't do much. Now, today, when you and I talk about it, big deal, you know, better luck next time. Habibi, now you can have that conversation. But when you stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you realize the opportunity that Allah gave you and you realize how you wasted it, Allah says on that day people will be biting on their fingers. That's the day. That's the day when the young child, his hair will go grey. That's the day when the pregnant woman will lose her load. That's the day when people will be walking around like they're intoxicated. Allah says, nay, they are not intoxicated. Rather, the severity of that day has driven people insane. Madness. Today, you and I, when you look at the Ramadan that passed, you think, yeah, what's the big deal, inshallah? I'm going to try better this year. Habibi, no. On that day, wallahi, you will cry tears of blood. That Allah gave you a bounty, that Allah gave you a gift, that Allah gave you the opportunity. He gave me the chance, and how did I deal with it? How did I deal with it? My brothers, wallahi, if you know the value of the month of Ramadan, your heart would be dancing, bro. Wallahi, the opportunities and the chances that you have, the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the gates of hellfire are closed, the gates of paradise are open, and Allah, imagine the shayateen are chained. This is your chance, this is your moment, this is your opportunity. And where are we, brother? We're in shisha bars, we're playing cards with the boys, we're going for drives. You know, it's not very popular here, but come, wallahi, come to Sydney. Religious brothers, they fish from Isha all the way to Fajr. And we sleep all day. Why? Because the month of Ramadan has become a month of burden now. It's become a month of burden. Hanging out with the boys, catching up with friends and family. It seems nice on the outside, trust me. It seems very nice. The month of Iftar, you invite me and I invite you. And who cares about Maghrib in the masjid? And who cares about Isha in the masjid? No, let's sit down and chit chat. You know, wallahi, it's enough that we're all cracked all year round. Then the one month that Allah is basically giving you a free ticket. What do we do with it? What do we do? Personally, this is not a sunnah. Personally, for me, the month of Ramadan, forgive me, the hell with my wife, the hell with my kids, the hell with my friends. Habibi, this is my month. Please leave me alone. Don't invite me, don't call me, don't text me. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. This is my chance, man. I tell my wife, no cooking in the month of Ramadan. Basic foods, bro. Basic foods. Any food that takes more than half an hour to prepare, I'm not interested in it. Today, in the month of Ramadan, our wives get together and they spend hours in the kitchen. Hours is what you have no idea, my brothers. You know, let me tell you something. You know, lately I've been saying this to the brothers. You know what's killing this ummah? It's not haram. Haram is not killing the ummah. Haram, we already know what's haram. Haram is haram, it's clear. There's always guilt when you do it. You know what's killing the ummah? Halal is killing this ummah. It's halal things that are wasting our time, wasting our efforts. Yeah, it's halal. No shaykh can tell you it's haram. But it's lahu, it's wasting your time. It's killing this ummah. Foods that take hours to prepare. It's halal. It's halal. Of course you can eat it. Nothing wrong with it. But the idea, my wife wasted hours in the kitchen cooking me food. Hours. He says halal is like medicine. The right dosage will cure you, but too much of it will also kill you. We're drowning in halal things that are distracting us, taking us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lahu, wasted time, bro, wasted time. Wasted time. The month of Ramadan is the month where, Habibi, I'm not interested. The month of Quran, the month of dhikr, the month of the month, your heart, your soul's been trapped. Your soul has been drowning in dunya and wasting time. Your soul has been drowning for 11 months. Then this one month, this one opportunity, bro. Your chance to reach levels. Your chance to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Habibi, what? Shayateen are chained. What else do you want? Shayateen are changed. Chained up. For the Sahaba, knowing that the shayateen were chained were a massive thing. But today, you and I, Habibi, what? My nafs and my desires are far more severe than shaitan. That's why in the month of Ramadan, shaitan is chained. But there's no change in our community. Why? Habibi, because what I carry inside me, even shaitan is impressed. We've built nufus, egos, luxuries in life. Even shaitan, he can't compete with you sometimes.